Guys, how's everyone doing? Pravda to Americans, never give up your guns. Absolutely not. Don't do it. Never give up your guns. I want to talk about Ukraine and some of the history that it has and the reason that they still stand against Russia. I mean, when you think about it, it's amazing that they're still hanging on. There's a good reason for that. This is the Ukraine riots 2014 is what I searched this for. And they had a very good reason to protest and to, riot because of the stuff that was going on, because of the corruption, the crime, and then they're going to offer them money and bail them out, this and that. It's a total mess. You see this right here. Ukraine is a major center for the Christian Church, the Orthodox Christian Church. You see, they have Christians there. They have rights there. They can even bear arms there. And that's the reason why Ukraine still stands. Because they have the right to bear arms. Because they have the firepower and the ability to defend themselves and to take a stand, even against a superpower like Russia. Now, where the Ukraine is located is a bad spot. It's right there. There's some interesting stuff talking about the genocide. See, they've gone through all this stuff before. Ukraine's been through some serious stuff. Genocide, millions killed, ethnic cleansing, just horrible things have happened to them. And they were not able to defend themselves at that time. They didn't have guns. They didn't have things to defend themselves with, except for a pitchfork, an axe, knife, and a club, and stuff like that. And they were slaughtered. Genocide was committed on them. But not no more. And the whole thing has caused the world to look at, drive for defense gun rights is spreading around the globe. It's caused everybody to take another look at that. I dare you to take my gun, AK-47 toting Ukrainian far-right leader tells officials. I don't know why they got to put far-right leader in there. That's stupid. He's just a guy who wants to defend his home land. They've been pushed around and pushed around all throughout history, and they're done being pushed. They're done being taken advantage of and slaughtered. They're never going to have genocide happen again. And that's why they hold close to their rights to be able to bear arms and to defend themselves. I mean, sure, there's background checks and stuff like that, just like with anything, but nothing near the rest of the world. I mean, they're pretty much close to the United States in that area. Russian protester donned suit of armor for protection during Ukraine riot. Well, the Russian has to don this suit of armor because Russians can't own firearms. So he's got to put this suit of armor on that shows how far back they are. You can't have a firearm unless you are a police officer or in the military or security guard or something like that in Russia. Oh, I'm sorry, you can own a single shotgun, and if you own it for 5 years without no mishaps, then you can get a rifle. But you can't have a handgun, and you even got to go to your doctor and go through psychological tests to make sure you're sane. Why Ukraine is such a big deal for Russia? Well, they have a lot of things that Russia would like. The land, its people, its wealth. They have some of the best, richest land able to grow food in the world. That's why Stalin took and killed most of the farmers, because they was taxing them so hard on their grain and stuff. Ended up starving them out. And they were making a lot of money off the food. But here's some history. I'll put all this below so you guys can check it out. History of Ukraine. But they've been through a lot in the last 100 and some years. They've been through a lot. Why I put this one up here, I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's see what it is. Okay, Ukraine profile. That's it. That's the one. A little more information on Ukraine. See, it's in between Russia and Romania and Germany. Germany basically hit Poland, Romania, and then Ukraine. So they were defeated by their own people, the Russians. Then they were defeated by the Germans. Then they were liberated by the Russians again, and so forth. They've been through a lot, and they're not putting up with it anymore. Ukrainians want to arm themselves to the teeth. Absolutely. They're going to defend themselves. And they have the right. They have the ability to do so. And they have the arms. Ukraine, we must not consent to genocide. They've known what that's like before. And the old-timers, the stories that they tell, there were some horrible things that they had to deal with and go through, that they were put through by the Russians. I mean, there's it's not no shock that they don't want to be no part of Russia. The Soviet Union was basically a bunch of terrorists to them. Committed genocide on them, killed a bunch of them off. I mean, they've really caught hell. And they're not going to do it anymore. They're sick of it. So they're fighting back. And at least they can. Because of firearms. They have the right to bear arms. Just like we do. And that's why they're still in the game. That's why they're a force to be reckoned with. And the UN doesn't like it because Ukraine was one of the only ones that didn't go with the whole UN Small Arms Treaty. Matter of fact, Ukraine won't answer a lot of their questions. Like, who's got what firearms, this and that. Here's some stats right here. Guns in Ukraine. Ukraine ranks 36th in the 40 largest arms dealing nations. And they make a lot of money off of dealing guns. And it's showed that their crime rate has dropped, that they've done better since more people have been armed than they did before. The stats are there for everyone to see how much of a help it's been to them. But the UN, they're still going to push their stuff. That hot new rifle from Russia. Well, Russia's doesn't allow their citizens to own a lot of firearms, but they sure do sell a lot to the rest of the world. More and more. They have a lot of leftovers from the conflicts they've had. They basically armed the Taliban and in Afghanistan and such, wherever they've been. They left all that stuff there. This is Russian school shootings. After Newtown, they started having a series of school shootings going on in Russia, even though they have strict gun laws. They have these school shootings going on. Of course, the gun lobby is pouncing on Ukraine to push their pet cause, gun control. Of course they are. Newton shooting highlights Russia's gun control debate. See how they use that? They use the Newton shooting to control guns here in the U.S. and to help them put more laws on the Russians. School shootings hits Russia despite prohibitive gun laws. Isn't that interesting? See, it doesn't matter. The criminal's going to get a gun anyway. Russia school shooting. Student kills teacher and security guard, injures police officer. Yeah, their school shootings have increased big time within the last few years. The New World Order and all has seen how effective it's been in the United States, and they're going to implement that worldwide, I'm sure. Two dead at shooting in Russian Orthodox cathedral. See, there's still ethnic cleansing and Christians being killed in Russia. Not in Ukraine, but in Russia. And Ukraine, that whole thing with the Jews being told they was going to kill them and all, that's a bullcrap lie, because they've already had that happen to them. Back in the 1930s. There's a lot of information here, a lot of good info here, and like I say, this is why they're still standing. This is why they're not been totally taken over and ruined. Is because they have firearms, they have protection. They can protect themselves. I mean, even though the powers that be are trying to get rid of them as quick as possible, burn them, whatever, turn them into scrap metal, trying to do all they can to get rid of the firearms that the citizens and the people have. They don't care if a soldier has it, as long as he's a soldier. Once he becomes a civilian, he's got to leave that firearm with the state. But they've been working hard to get rid of firearms and stuff like that, so the powerful can have them only, not the regular citizens. And here's a dude riding a bear. Putin. Vladimir Putin. He's like the macho man, John Wayne of the world. He wishes. And he tries to set himself up to look cool and all. But this whole thing doesn't fly right with him. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like that these people are defending themselves and that they're actually causing a world debate, getting attention to their cause, and that people are actually listening. No one would listen if they hadn't have had the ability to defend themselves. If they wouldn't have had firearms, no one would have listened at all. And it's not being talked about in the main media. The United States is turning into a police state more and more every day. Martial law has been implemented several times within the last few years, unknowingly a lot of times. There's places it's been implemented that we still haven't heard about. They've shut down sections of interstates, searched without warrants, all kinds of things. We know that there's some serious problems that we have. But we have the right to bear arms too. And we need to do whatever we can to keep it. We need to be smart about it. Be safe. Be responsible. It ain't you and me that's going to cause problems. It's the criminal. And this gun control does nothing to the criminal's ability to have firearms. Not one thing. Because if you got the money, you can get whatever you want. Whatever you want. Somebody probably could buy a nuke if they had the money. I'm sure they could. Here's a cool picture I thought was neat. Maybe our future president, huh? But yeah, Russia makes a lot of guns and sells them to the world. And the world buys them up. The reason people like that Kalashnikov is because it can be full of dirt and it still shoots. Very reliable firearm. And like I said, they left them in Afghanistan for the Taliban to use, pick up and use. They're all over the world. But basically, this is what the Ukrainians in the early 1900s had to fight with. And that's why genocide was committed on them. That's why so many of them, millions of them, died and were put in gulags and camps and starved to death because they didn't have what they needed to protect themselves, to defend themselves. They basically had this right here, the suit of armor, like the knight, the round table, going up against machine guns and stuff like that. I hope everyone's well, having a good night. God bless, good luck to us all. Never give up your guns, never give up your Second Amendment rights. Fight for them. The Second Amendment protects the first and the last. This is Chatty Dad 1, over and out.